What is going on, everybody? Welcome back to the Blitz Angle today. My name is Ryan Linklater. I'm here with David and Bryce. We're talking about all the free agent moves from day one, some of our favorite winners from the day, and just talking ball in general here on the Blitz Angle. Bryce, I'm going to start with you. Talk to me about, one team that had a great day overall.
Dude, I honestly really like the Steelers move. Like their moves they made as a whole. I'm just saying on our last video how I'm low key a Steelers hater. I don't know what it is. I just have them 8 and 9 every year and say they're missing the playoffs just to prove me wrong. But I really like what they're doing here. I mean, the Michael Pittman move. Do I love him as a receiver? No. Do I think it was a great fit? Yes. Do I think they got him at a great price? Even more, yes. I really like that move. I like the Rico Dowdle move for them as a team. Maybe not for fantasy football for Dowdle, but for as a team, I think he's a nice add. And then on the defensive side of the ball, I'm really high on Jamal Dean. I think that's a perfect fit. They added a linebacker, a couple other pieces. I really like what they did, and keep in mind that they're heading into the NFL draft with 12 picks, the most in the entire league. So I really like what they did today, and I think they're in a good spot going forward.
Yeah, I think, with Pittsburgh and, David, I know you got some ties over in that Pittsburgh area we'll talk about in a second, but the one thing like they just needed to do was add more talent, in the secondary and on the offensive side of the ball. And I'm really excited. Like the Kenneth Gainwell, I felt like was a loss, but Rico Dowdle, basically kind of crosses that off. I feel like they're similar and they have different strengths and other stuff. And I think Jalen Warren can play more of a receiving role this year instead of what he did last year, which was mostly early downs. But on offense, like you add Michael Pittman Jr., for a day three pick, that's exciting overall. They needed another guy next to DK Metcalf, and Mike McCarthy, I don't think it's going to be done. We know he wants more pass catchers. I know it's probably going to be Aaron Rodgers at quarterback. I mean, I think Kyler Murray would be an intriguing option for them that I would not rule out, but that's nice. And then on the defense side of the ball, Jamel Dean, like they needed more cornerback help. Dean and Porter Jr., Jalen Ramsey's still there, probably going to play safety. Like that's nice. You get James Pierre back too. Like they have a solid secondary they're forming. Pittsburgh's doing a really good job of making their roster more formidable. Now I think they need to go add a different element on the offensive side of the ball. Add some speed, add a deep threat, add some guy that, potentially could be nice in the slot. But I really like what Pittsburgh did on day one.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. I'm really hoping Kyler Murray's their guy. If Kyler Murray can stay healthy, I would go as far as say it could be a slight improvement quarterback play wise in Pittsburgh. But a team that really shocked me this free agency cycle, not the Raiders. We all expected them to spend the money, and they spent it well in my opinion. But the Carolina Panthers, they got two of the top 8 players on our board of the best free agents in Jalen Phillips and Devin Lloyd to bulk up that defense and help Bryce Young win more games.
No,
Yeah.
that's what I was gonna say too. Like we talked about the Jalen Phillips move, and we're like a much needed move. Overpay, yes, but a much needed move. Like you needed an edge bad. 30 sacks last year, bottom 5 in pretty much every pressure rate. Every single stat comes to man with that. They were bottom 5, so it was obviously a need. And then I was like, is that all they're going to do? Okay, I don't mind it. And then they had Devin Lloyd. I'm huge on Devin Lloyd. I mean, coming off an
Yes.
all-pro season, best season of his career, and now they get him on a really nice deal. I think that, from a value perspective, was arguably the best move of the entire day.
Yeah. I listen. When we talked about Phillips earlier today at 40 million, we were sitting there like, whoa, what are we doing? What are we doing? But like the way the market looked today, I think edge rushers could be making 50 million in the next 2 years with the contract. Like Max Crosby's going to be due for an extension for the Ravens. I'm kind of worried for Baltimore. They're going to have to pay him 50 plus $1 million, it feels like, in his 30s, and they gave up 2 first-round picks for him. But Jalen Phillips was a massive add for Carolina. They needed to add more pass rush, and while he doesn't have the sacks and all that type of notoriety some of the top pass rushers have, he's productive. He wins on the edge, and that's going to force the ball into the secondary. That was really good last year. And then you add Devin Lloyd, the best cover linebacker in football. I'm surprised Jacksonville let him walk for that price. And he's the same amount of money as Nick Bolton, and a lot of people on the Chiefs side of stuff like are frustrated with Bolton because he can't cover for anything. And Devin Lloyd's a complete linebacker, one of the best in the game. Like outside of Fred Warner and maybe Roquan Smith still. Like Devin Lloyd is up there. So Carolina, great job. Now go add another weapon for Bryce Young.
Yeah, and to go back on to focus on Jacksonville, to touch on some teams that didn't do anything, they lost Devin Lloyd, they lost Travis Etienne,
Yeah.
and they don't have a first round pick this year either from the Travis Hunter trade last season. So
Yeah.
I don't know what their plan is on a
But
team
the funny thing is that
Yeah.
was my preseason Super Bowl, or not preseason, but like way too early Super Bowl pick based on their roster construction and everybody else's. They've basically failed that very, very quickly. And
That's
not
funny
great,
because I just looked it up because I'm like, yeah, they did lose. I'm like, I forgot who they added. Let me look up, and I look it up real quick, and it says TBA. They didn't even add a single player.
Yeah,
like,
they weren't in the news at all today.
Yeah, no, that's nuts. Yeah, that
like,
is.
They're obviously in a tougher situation because Lawrence has that massive contract, right? You just paid Jacoby Myers, Parker Washington's there, Brian Thomas Jr. Like they have a lot of pieces, especially on the offensive side of the ball already. And I think at running back, they're either drafting a guy or going, Bashal Tutin's going to be their player. But it's a little concerning on the defensive side of the ball. I think their defense was good last year. Kind of fraudulent, though, dare I say. Like, Devin Lloyd was a massive part of that defense, and I think they're going to be hurting heading into next year. The Texans, I thought, inside of their division, made some really good moves today, some simple, low-key moves. Reed Blankenship adds to that secondary. Like, their defense is only getting better, which is scary for the rest of the NFL. Indianapolis, I do want to talk about them. And, David, I want to get your thoughts on this. Alec Pierce, $28.5 million. You're a big Buffalo Bills guy. There were rumors that he could go for $30 million to the 49ers, Patriots, Chargers, Titans. The Bills weren't in that mix, but what are your thoughts on this wide receiver market right now and, how much money potentially Alec Pierce could have gone for and what he did?
Now, I think Alec Pierce was in the ballpark of getting like 20 to 25 mil, but the NFL increasing the cap this year I think 22 million teams gained this year in cap. It definitely in the market, it definitely showed that every single team was much more aggressive this offseason than maybe in off seasons past, with just contracts being a lot of players seem to get overpaid. Jalen Phillips, as we mentioned, Dafe Owe, I think got a massive contract compared to edge rushers like
4
TJ
years,
Watt.
$100+ million.
Yeah. And compare that to elite edge rushers around the league that already have contracts like TJ Watt, Max Crosby, as we mentioned. The contracts, like you said, 50 mil a year for edge rushers, that's going to be a reality soon, as long as the cap continues to go up. But going back to Alec Pierce, I pictured him getting like 20 million. I was hoping the Bills would be in that market, but for 28, 29, we just can't do that when we just spent a significant amount of money on Curtis Samuel and Josh Palmer in off seasons past. So we have to be smart with how we spend our money on free agency. And Brandon Beane is definitely doing that in this cycle.
Yeah, and the interesting part is I'm looking at the average per year of, edge rushers, and obviously Micah Parsons signed that mega deal last year, Aiden Hudson too. They're hovering at 45, 46 million. So the $50 million pass rusher is coming. Like it's not far away. Phillips himself, average per year slots in at 30 right now. I mean, it's going to be very interesting to kind of see how it navigates, especially in the edge position. Bryce, the New England Patriots, very, very quiet day today. Are you concerned about what they're doing in free agency right now?
Dude, 100%. I was saying how the Broncos and Patriots really made the AFC Championship and then said, let's sit back and just do nothing in free agency. I mean, the Broncos brought back J.K. Dobbins, but that's about all they did. And then the Patriots turned around and did literally nothing as well, besides lose guys.
They got Reggie Gilliam.
What?
They got Reggie Gilliam.
They got a fullback, baby. They got a fullback.
I had to bring that up.
They got a fullback.
That's the hump that'll get them over the Super Bowl. That'll win them the Super Bowl for sure. But no, like I'm just really worried about the receiving core more than anything. Like I really am. I wouldn't call you crazy if you say without Diggs, like how it looks right now, it's the worst receiving core in the league. Like I'm not.
They cut Diggs.
Yeah. Without Diggs, I'm saying that's Kendrick Bourne and You're now rocking with Kyle Williams, like wide receiver 2, who hasn't even done a single thing in the NFL. Pop Douglas, like this wide receiver core is not it. And there are still names out there, but as we sit here today, the core is terrible. And if they don't figure it out, this schedule is about to bend them over upside down.
All right, relax over there. Relax over there. Just want to let everybody know Team USA has won. Let's go. Shout out to Team USA carrying it. Love the boys over there. But yeah, with New England, man, this is scary. This is scary. You're playing with fire here. This kind of reminds me of the Belichick era, not adding weapons for Tom Brady in his last few years. Drake May needs help at the wide receiver position. This was a great season. New England was a great team, but it almost felt like in a weird year in the AFC where in just the NFL in general, they won games and had the right schedule at the right time where they can make a Super Bowl run. They are in danger of never making another Super Bowl in Drake May's career if this is how they're going to treat free agency with the cap space they have and Drake May coming up with a mega extension here in 2 to 3 years. That is my big concern. They made a ton of investments last offseason, and a lot of those panned out. But they have zero superstars on the offensive side of the ball outside of Drake May. And we all know in the AFC, Mahomes, Allen, and Lamar Jackson, they are going to control what happens in the postseason more than not. Joe Burrow has been there a few times. Drake May himself is not going to be able to win postseason games if the talent around him is what it looked like in New England right now.
Yeah, and I kind of want to hit on this because I find it really interesting. Who do you guys, obviously they're both winners, but who do you view as a bigger winner today or the biggest winner of them all, the Raiders or the Titans? Who do you think really kind of took the show?
Dave, I'll go with you.
Yeah, I'm going to go Raiders hands down. And most of that is I'm not a Wandell believer, so that really hinders my that really hinders how I view the Titans. But I think the Raiders got a franchise center in Tyler Lindenbaum. I hope I didn't bomb that name. But but giving Mendoza a franchise center, they added a few depth pieces around the team, but helping the O-line is definitely going to help them out long term.
I think I'd have to agree with the Raiders here. I like the moves the Titans made. And, they completely revamped the secondary. Their defense is going to look a lot different. I mean, you had Jermaine Johnson, John Franklin's-Meyer, Cordell Flott, Alante Taylor. They did a great job on the defense side of the ball. Las Vegas, I think they did a better job, but I'm not going to get here in victory lap on what they did in free agency today. Linderbaum, good move. Second or third best center in football right there, and he got a massive payday. Like, credit to him, he deserved that. And the Raiders had some money to throw around, right? Defensively, this is where I'm a little bit skeptical, even though I think they did have a better day than the Titans. You have all that money. You decide to pay 2 linebackers at the top of the market at the position. You pay Stokes $10 million plus per year at the cornerback position, and your defensive line additions are uninspiring. I think the Raiders defense is not going to be good this upcoming season. I know they retained Malcolm Kuntz, but with what I'm looking at for this roster construction for Las Vegas, Quay Walker, Nakobe Dean being the stars of this defense, that's scary in an AFC West where there's 3 franchise quarterbacks right now in that division. So I'm a little bit concerned with that, but they have a ton of first-round picks this year. They got a lot of draft capital. It's not done just yet.
Yeah, and I'd agree with you guys. I originally was thinking the Titans because I really I'm really intrigued on the Titans ads. Like pretty much all over. Like I'm an Alante Taylor fan. Even John Franklin Myers, like I'm intrigued in that. Those are really got me. But then you kind of look on the Raiders side of the ball. I think those are more long living. And Tyler Lindenbaum was pretty much the best offensive guy you could have possibly brought to a team that needed him. There was not a team that needed offensive lineman more than the Raiders, and they got the best one. So I think they did that perfectly, and I think they're setting themselves up for a nice spot in the future if they continue on this path.
Yeah, and I do think eventually they're going to have to hit at wide receiver or edge, or this is going to be a failed build around Fernando Mendoza. Bowers and Genti are great. Wide receiver and edge are going to be necessary if this team is going to really turn it around. Let's talk about the Chiefs. I am excited. I thought I'm just gonna say that right now. Like, I think, heading into this video, I don't think even like they were worth mentioning outside of Walker and what they did today. But right before we get on, right, you had Alohi Gilman, a really cheap deal with only 15 million guaranteed over 3 seasons. Tyquan Thornton they signed for 2 years, $11 million, was the highest passer rating among any wide receiver in the NFL last year when targeted. Then you get Travis Kelce for one more year for only 12 million. You add what's his name? Tonga from New England. No clue about the guy whatsoever. This is probably the least one that I'm excited about. He's a guy that has 0.5 sacks through like his age 29 season, but he's a run stuffer. Not really super fond of that move, but once again, 3 years, 18 million guaranteed max is what it is. But then you get Kenneth Walker, right? Kenneth Walker is the one that everybody will talk about. And credit to Brett Veach, because every offseason what he does, the weakest position on the Chiefs roster, he goes and addresses it as quickly as possible, right? Left tackle last season, running back this season, years before it's been different stuff. I really like what they're building because they have a tight cap. They have 10 picks in the NFL draft, 2 in the first round. They're going to have to make a splash at edge, wide receiver, and cornerback, but I do think they'll be able to get one of those figured out before next season and then kind of float and roll with the punches besides that. But with where the Chiefs are in their cap, making the moves they did today, letting the players walk, I think they've done a great job because entering this offseason, it was a little bit walking on eggshells just a little bit with what they had to do with this roster, the turnover they were going to have, the season they had last year. So far, I really like the plan with what they've done in trying to retool this roster.
And got 2 first-round picks, which is going to be pretty awesome as well.
Yeah, that is going to be intriguing for sure. On other stuff, why don't we talk about a little bit of the NFC South, because there were some major moves in that division. David, I'll start with you. You got Atlanta. They got Tua now. We talked about Carolina making some big moves today. The Saints, they added one of your boys from Buffalo, and they got Travis Etienne. And then the Bucs, they lost a little bit of talent today. What are your thoughts on how this division is shaking out?
I'm worried most for the Bucs. They lost Mike Evans. He's irreplaceable. Now that does make room for Igbuka for fantasy owners. I know Igbuka is going to be probably a high 4th round pick, just off the top of my head. I wouldn't be surprised. Igbuka is going to be great next year. But the Saints, I worry it's not enough. They still have Kamara, so I'm not, unless they have a trade like they've been working in the back room, I just don't see why they get Etienne. David Edwards, he's a good guard, a much needed improvement on their offensive line. But I feel like they just have too many holes on defense. They lost Saints legends, Demario Davis, Cam Jordan. Saints legends, yes. Bucks lost their wide receiver legend. Like, these are all-time greats that left their team. And what do? They sign a running back when they already have a running back. Granted, Etienne is much younger, so I'll give them credit there. Getting younger position is always a plus. But as far as I'm concerned, they didn't address the needs that they really had other than David Edwards.
What are your thoughts, Bryce?
Yeah, I would say the Panthers got better, and all the rest I'm kind of weary on. Especially the Bucks. I think the Bucks definitely lost. You bring in Anzalone, who decent linebacker, but you lose Jamal Dean. He was already pretty much gone, but you lost Jamal Dean officially. You lost Mike Evans. Those are big pieces. Those are arguably your best offensive player and one of your best defensive players that are now at the door. And then, like David just said, with the Saints, you're losing all-time greats. I think they're getting younger, which is ideal for them because they're building that young core and kind of resolving those salary cap problems. Still, those are impact guys that help you be good in the moment. And then the last team is the Falcons. I don't even know what they're doing. Like, you're bringing in Tua, who might take over by week 7. They might run double lefty quarterbacks out there. Who even knows at this point?
A Wildcat with 2 lefty quarterbacks at wide receiver. They're cooking something.
Yeah, no, I originally was saying, oh, no shot, Panthers are winning the division again. Someone's taking it back, but I mean, they definitely won the day compared to everyone else, and I think they definitely are up compared to the rest. So
I think
Yeah.
that division is primarily going to rely on how big Igbokwe breaks out in his official wide receiver 1/2 role, or if the Panthers, if Tedero McMillan can elevate into a clear tier 1 type of receiver. It's really going to come down to the playmakers on the Panthers and Bucks on who wins that division.
Interesting. All right, I got a few rapid fire questions for you guys based on some of this day one stuff. David, first one is for you.
Oh boy.
The New York Jets, they're in a similar situation to the Titans and the Raiders. Pretty quiet day. They just added some veterans on the defensive side of the ball. Are you concerned with their current approach?
I'm not as concerned because unlike the Patriots, they don't have the franchise quarterback. They're clearly not in a win now mode, and their lack of free agent signings just shows that they're fine with tanking for Arch Manning, who I don't know if he's going to be a first-round pick next year, but everyone assumes he is. Other than that, I thought one of the strangest moves today came from the Jets, trading a 7th for Minkah Fitzpatrick.
Yes, that was
Now,
weird.
your
And
goal...
they extended him too.
Yeah, so your goal is to... I'm assuming their goal is to tank. They have no franchise quarterback. They didn't make much other noise. But you sign a great safety. I mean, you got a great deal on Minkah, so maybe their goal is, hey, well, we could tank. Then this is a guy we could flip in a year or two towards the end of his contract and get more picks like long term. But other than that, I don't see their vision. They can't draft a quarterback.
My thing with the Jets is it's these coaches trying to save their job. I mean, you're bringing in Demario Davis, you're bringing in Minkah Fitzpatrick, you're in a rebuild, and you're bringing in these old guys. It feels like they're just trying to stay a little bit relevant to keep their jobs and not breaking the bank. I mean, Demario, 2 years, $22 million, nothing. It's not breaking the bank or anything. It's just an old 37-year-old that can play a little bit, but I don't know.
All right, next question for you, Bryce. Does the Mike Evans move push the San Francisco 49ers to the best team in the NFC West?
No. I'm through and through a Rams guy. Through and through a Rams guy. I was all over the Rams last year. They're my preseason Super Bowl champs. I thought I had it. In the postseason, I defended them every single game, no matter what. They're my team. And I'd be lying if I said I didn't already have a bet on them to win the Super Bowl for next season.
I'm about to say, it sounds like you're still on them.
I'm not getting off. The minute I saw the Trent McDuffie trade went through, you don't know how quick I ran to the sports book and placed the Super Bowl future. The Rams are my team. I truly believe in this team from top to bottom, and like we all know, the secondary has been the biggest problem, and I really like them adding McDuffie and Jalen Watson. They get that combo, they get the chemistry. The front seven is elite. The offense is arguably a top 3 unit in the league. I'm a Rams guy through and through, and that's not switching. So, and no, I'm not a Rams fan. I'm just a Rams truther.
Yeah, they lost Kobe Durant though, so Caleb Downs, if he's a guy that falls their, I think was it pick 13 or 14 they have. We know safeties don't go high in the draft, so that could be a major replacement for Kobe Durant. But going on to the Niners, yeah, I still like the Rams. I think it might put them ahead of the Seahawks. I don't want to bet against Seahawks, but I don't think Sam Darnold is going to back-to-back Super Bowls. They'll still make the noise.
For some regression, that's for sure.
They lost Kenneth Walker. I'm sure they'll still win. They could easily still win 11 or 12 games, but getting Mike Evans when your best receiver last year was Jawan Jennings, they needed a wide receiver one bad. The only reason I'm not as high on the Niners is I'm not putting all my chips on a 32-year-old wide receiver. That's what's I can't. That's really what it just comes down to.
I see. Here's the thing with the NFC West. I thought it was a good move for the 49ers, but they have some ways to go. They need a lot of defensive additions before I feel a little bit more confident with them. I think, the interesting part, let me start with Seattle first, though. Seattle's lost a lot of playmakers on both sides of the ball now at this point. Tariq Woolen's probably gone too. They're going to have a little bit of turnover. I think they might be in for a little bit of regression. I wouldn't be surprised if they miss the playoffs next season. I think offensively is where I look at as well, and I'm a little concerned. Rashid Shaheed was a nice return for them, but running game-wise, they're going to rely on Zach Charbonnet off a torn ACL. I don't think that's the best strategy for them, but as far as Los Angeles goes, them and the Ravens have two similar approaches for this offseason. We're going all in on winning a Super Bowl. One team, they got Max Crosby, and they're basically done this offseason. They're going to have to let a lot of guys walk, and they're going to have holes in other spots, but they got the premier edge rusher. Los Angeles, they are continuing to add. They had Jalen Watson today, too, with Trent McDuffie. Like, this team is going to find any way they can to touch up any holes they have with the capital they have to go win this season. Baltimore, they kind of made their bet. They wanted an elite edge rusher. They got Max Crosby. They're going to have to pay him the big bucks now while you're paying a quarterback that money. You have Derrick Henry, who's expensive as well. Roquan Smith is really expensive. Like, they have a lot of money tied up in guys, and Baltimore kind of feels handcuffed after this move versus Los Angeles. They're still finding ways to add and improve this roster, and I'm interested to see how both these teams navigate. But before I end this video, the most underrated free agent run, go. David, go ahead.
Most underrated?
Underrated team day.
Oh. Come back to me. I really got underrated is tough.
I know who I'm going with.
That's a tough one, but I think I'm gonna roll with the Giants.
Okay.
Just because I know we've been back and forth on the likely move, but I like that likely move for them. I really think the pairing with Harbaugh is going to be special, and then Tremaine Edmonds. I think that's a huge add. The linebacker core has not been very good. I think he's a big piece, and then they retained O lineman. They brought in a punter. Who doesn't like punters?
Oh yeah.
But I don't know. I think the Giants aren't really talked about much, but they got guys up for a nice deal. And I think they got needs more than anything. So I think they're in a good spot to take downs at pick 5 and really shake up this team.
My most underrated team, the Chicago Bears, I thought had a really nice day with where they're at. Yeah, they missed out on Max Crosby. They haven't added Trey Hendrickson. Who knows? They may still do that. They haven't really added around the edge, but you re-sign Braxton Jones. You kind of shore up left tackle like they needed to. They traded for a center to fill in Drew Dahlman. On the defensive side of the ball, you cut Tremaine Edmonds, who was a liability in coverage. You add Devin Bush, who was one of the best cover linebackers in football last season. Then at safety, Jaquan Brisker, Kevin Byard are free agents. You go and add Kobe Bryant, who was better than Jaquan Brisker last year. I still think Kevin Byard's likely to go back there. Really like what Chicago did. It's almost like they upgraded in positions that they had a lot of turnover with this year. So I thought that was a really nice day from the Bears.
Yeah. So I'm just looking through just to make sure I'm not like forgetting anyone. And I don't think anyone had a underrated free agency. You either had today. It was either you won like the Panthers or the Raiders or Titans, or you lost like the Falcons or, in my opinion, the Saints. But if I were to pick one, maybe you go the Bengals. Odafe Owe, but he replaces Trey Hendrickson. So it's still a negative in my opinion. But they did sign Brian Cook, the safety from the Chiefs. But again, they still didn't get O-line. So it's like
going off that, I saw the Bengals social media team posted like react to the GIF, like how excited you are with our free agent moves today, and the comment section is just not having it. They're like Owe and Cook, and you want us to go like nuts or something.
Hey, they got Boy Mafe.
Yeah, now Adape, yeah.
Yeah, and they paid those guys $33 million combined for both those guys this year. So like breaking the bank on defense, I see Cincinnati. Good job.
But that's what I mean. Like even if like I really feel not a single team was really underrated. Most teams are either bad or good. Jets were bad. Like Patriots were bad. I don't see any team. I'm like, wow, they had a nice, quiet, underrated free agency day. I just don't.
All right. Well, that wraps up our day one recap our team winners and losers from the first day. I did the fantasy one earlier with Bryce, so it's still in my head. Drop a comment down below your reactions from day one of free agency. Hit that subscribe button. Me, David, and Bryce will catch you all next time.